Welcome everybody to the Low Country. Mount Pleasant, South Carolina is the site for this USL Championship Eastern Conference clash as the Charleston Battery take on Miami FC. Sean St. Jacques, Eric Dobransky here with you, and we look at the East where the Battery are pushing for first.
Yeah, and this game tonight presents two different opportunities for both these sides. For Charleston Battery, continue to put the pressure on Lou City and put yourself in contention for this Players' Shield. And Miami, 3 points tonight just spins the narrative of what this season has been thus far and disrupt one of the top teams in the East.
The top goal scorer in the league plays for the Charleston Battery. 16 goals for Nick Marcanic so far this season. His lead in the Golden Boot chase is at 5. He's just been marvelous.
Yeah, and already above his season total last season and with plenty of season left. So got to imagine that he's going to continue to keep pace and had his marks all over a match in this previous matchup with Hartford in a first half that just did not go the way that the standards of Charleston Battery football look. And going into break down 2-0, Ben Pierman said there wasn't much said at halftime. They just knew that they had to improve on Dos Santos getting his first career goal, getting this kick started. Ben Pierman mentioned that you needed the first one to go in, and then Robbie Crawford, this delivery, and then the glancing header by Nick Marcanic.
Great recovery from the Battery to get a point. It continues a decent run of form over the last 3 matches. 9 goals scored after they had scored none in the last 4 before that 3-game stretch. But first half goals has been something Ben Pierman's side have been trying to work on. And here at Patriots Point tonight, not a bad place to work on that. They've only lost once here all year.
Yeah, and you don't want to put yourself where you're always chasing games. And this is going to be a player for Miami FC, Frank Lopez, that when you go on the road and you play a Charleston Battery side that have only lost once, you need a special performance. And Frank Lopez, with the 4 goals this season, he's going to be instrumental in pushing that tempo.
Miami has not had a good run of form. I think that's not a secret. They haven't won a game since they beat San Antonio back on April 27th, but they played some of the top teams tough. They'll be hoping that Daniel Gagliardi, who got a clean sheet back on opening day, can maybe bring some of that magic back into the lineup for Miami. He gets the start tonight, and he'll be between the sticks hoping to get Miami back to winning ways. Charleston are hoping to get back to the top of the table in the Eastern Conference. Miami's in town to give them a stiff test. Kickoff from the Low Country is next.
I always tell my friends that if they want everything in one weekend, they should come to Charleston.
I think you'll feel the love when you visit Charleston.
It's for the way you look. Oh, it's for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give to you.
Sean St. Jacques, Eric Dobransky back here with you. Tonight's matchup is presented by the South Carolina Education Lottery between the Battery and Miami. Let's look at the starting lineups between tonight's Eastern Conference foes, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. We begin with Ben Pierman's side that have a really good attack, but also a very strong midfield, coach.
Yeah, sixth start for Arturo Rodriguez, who is tied for the team lead in assists with 4 in a midfield with Allen and Malloy, who have been terrific all season. And you mentioned it just a moment ago, this is a team that in possession has been really strong and has set the stage for top-level performances. They lead the league in clean sheets in 10, and then they boast the league's top goal scorer. So that is balance in both boxes.
They've had it all season long and hope to continue their strong play tonight. Miami's 11 under Antonio Nocerino. This is where they're hoping to turn things around. They're hoping that the attack can be the catalyst.
Explosive front two. We highlighted Lopez, but Gavilanes is the team leader in goals with 5. And can Charleston limit Miami in those louder transition moments? So not only keeping an eye on that front two, but also how do you influence those positive entry passes? Palacios and Cardona are going to be key in those.
Miami, we mentioned it earlier, looking for their first win since late April. The Battery, again, Lou City play later on tonight. We'll be keeping you abreast of that game as well. There is a scenario where the Battery could end the night in first, not only in the East, but in all of the USL Championship. We talked with both coaches in the lead up to this one, and Ben Pierman again said that they have to continue to push forward. Miami are going to be desperate. They're going to be ready to go. They have a lot still to play for. Again, the points are not going their way, but they are going to give everything they have, put the target on Battery's back again. And I will say this, the last time we were in this scenario earlier in the season, when the Battery were playing a team towards the bottom of one of the 2 conferences, it didn't quite go their way. Ben Pierman will be hoping to put that right tonight. I
was going to say, for a coaching staff, it's easy to just point to the one loss that you have at home, that being against El Paso's side that's at the bottom of the West. So you go into matchups and you make it very clear that you do not overlook some of these opponents, especially in the USL Championship, how difficult opponents are, how well prepared they are. You have to go into each game and put a complete performance together.
Elvis Osmanovic is our center official, and the Battery will get us started going from left to right in their black and yellows. Miami are in their road orange from head to toe, and we are underway here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Pleased to have you joining us. It's a really important game for the Battery to keep pressure on Lou City and potentially eclipse Lou City for the top spot in the East. Miami have been searching for a spark for a couple of months now, and they are very much as short on time as you can be in the middle of the month of July in a USL Championship season to get back in any kind of conversation. But Antonio Nocerino told us there's still a lot for them to play for. They're not looking at the table. They're just trying to focus on what they can bring to the table in a match. And the Battery, again, know that there's still a long way to go, a lot of hurdles as well before they get where they need to go. They can't drop any of their intensity, especially against a team in Miami where they'll be expected to win.
Yeah, and when we talked to Antonio Nocerino, he continued to use the word opportunity, and I think that's a great word that defines the overlining factor of this game, because as you mentioned with Charleston Battery, the opportunity to not only keep pressure on Lou City, but we talked about it before, New Mexico United's in that Players Shield race as well.
Yes.
So you keep pace with that, and anytime you're one of those top teams in the USL Championship and you're playing a team that's below the playoff line, you have to look at those matches and from the jump, play on the front foot, be good defensively, don't allow some of those details to get away. And for Miami FC, the opportunity to put together a strong 90-minute performance, because we saw it in the graphic before kickoff, Charleston Battery, the early goals, those first half goals that have put them in positions where they've had to chase some matches. It's been the second half for Miami FC. They've put some really good first 45 minutes together. Lost to Charleston Battery a few months ago late, 2-1, and then they lost to Lou City late, 2-1. I mean, they pushed the 2 top teams in the East to 1-1 late, and then conceding those goals, and we've seen it in some of the recent matches as well.
Yeah, Yeah, the one big surprise between the two lineups was Felipe Rodriguez not starting in goal for Miami. He had started 8 games in a row for Antonio Nocerino, but Daniel Gagliardi gets the start tonight and maybe could be a good luck charm. First game of the season, Miami had that 2-0 win over the Switchbacks. It's still their only clean sheet of the season, just one of 2 victories, both ironically enough against pretty good Western Conference teams. Maybe he can come back and help provide a little bit of a lift. And again, stats and history and things like that are not always the be-all, end-all in games like this. Again, you and I were on that game when El Paso came here and Wilmer Cabrera's first game in charge and shocked everybody with a 2-1 win. But there are a couple of stats in the history of this fixture that do back Miami. They lead the all-time series with 6 wins, as a free kick is going to be given for Miami just outside of their own penalty area. On top of that, and this might be the more surprising stat, Miami is unbeaten in their last 3 trips here to Patriots Point. The last time the Battery beat Miami here, you have to go back to 2021. That's quite a long time ago. And that'll be fresh in some of these Miami players' heads. Sometimes teams just have your number, especially in the USL Championship. And as we've already seen this season, crazier things have happened.
Well, and to your point as well, some matchups just tend to be a bit more difficult than others, and how you match up, whether it's the individual matchups, those duels, or just structurally how you have to break them down, because right now, this has been the trend through the season for Charleston. They're going to be on the ball a lot. Their possession has been special throughout their run right now, and we talked to Ben Pierman about which side of the ball complements one more than the other, and to be fair, I kind of knew where the answer was going to go in terms of it was both. But I think the way that they keep the ball and they don't get dispossessed in bad areas. And I think that's what happened in that El Paso match when they dropped here at home, was they got dispossessed in the middle of the park. They got dispossessed in the build. And this is a team that on the ball is valued. If they're going to lose possession and be risky in some areas, it's going to be in this area right here. And then they're going to look to regain it and then not put any undue pressure on them in those transition moments.
Arturo Rodriguez was the one that closed it down there. It's a Miami throw. One back by Torres to give the Battery a fresh batch of possession. Adam Grinwis is starting tonight between the sticks for Charleston. He's had another very good season. As we look at tonight's injury report, it's brought to you by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. Again, Juan Sebastian Palma having knee surgery was successful. Great to hear that, but that's a huge loss for Ben Pierman. And Miami really just been a lot of shuffling of players, not as much as losing players, but that's a big loss for the Battery.
Yeah, and we're all wishing Palma a speedy and successful recovery. And as you mentioned, for a team that plays the way they play and the experience and the way this roster is built, as we see this communication there, it's going to be a big miss for Charleston. But
here's the miscue.
Early service here, and then it's where we just get the mix-up communication-wise and concede an early corner kick.
Charleston's marksman, Aaron Malloy, stands over at 57 chances created, most in the league. Puts in a pretty good ball here. I think the whistle may have gone before it got to Marcanic. That's why he threw his arm up at it. Might have actually happened before the kick was taken, so the Battery will get a second chance opportunity here. Malloy take 2. It's well struck again, but nobody there to really attack it for Charleston. They'll settle for a throw. Torres from Marcanic. Torres across, it was dangerous. Rodriguez tried to keep it alive. Miami clears. They're gonna win a free kick as well. Challenge through the back. Bit clumsy from Graham Smith, and Miami get a pretty good location here for a set piece.
And just a play that's kicked out of the defensive third, and as you mentioned, kind of an unnecessary free kick, and these are gonna be the moments for Miami that can you use them to control the pace of the game? Can you slow it down just a bit, see yourself on the ball, get Charleston out of shape or a bit extended defensively?
That's a lovely ball in the end of this near side. Roberto Molina has space for the shot! Took a big ricochet off of Leland Archer. Grinwis was rooted to the spot. Threat from Miami, they get a corner.
And this is how Miami can play in terms of those transition moments, how quickly they can go 1-2 passes and be in. And as you mentioned, Grinwis just feet planted, almost had to just watch and hope that that ball hit side netting.
I showed you earlier how Miami have given some of the top teams trouble this season, including the Battery. In the first meeting, Charleston eked out a 2-1 win.
And Miami scored first in that first meeting against Charleston.
They're gonna try to do that again here from the corner. It's gonna be a free shot. It pinballs around, it's headed centrally. Handball appeals fly in. It's still going, and Smith clears. Miami convinced that it was handled by a Battery player, but the referee says play on.
And I think Knutson wanted a high kick here as well. What a clever free kick. He's calling for one there on Charleston. But that's something that you see trends of when you see a team that is so bottled up in their own 18-yard box, that freedom to roam along the outskirts of the 18-yard box. Unfortunately, that's typically a set piece you could probably only bring out once, because then you get the layers in the structure, and you have that uh-oh moment where you get away with one.
I'm gonna say, it's not many times you see the Battery caught that far out on a set piece. Very clever from Miami, but they could not in the end make anything of it. Charleston come back the other way. Centering passes for Torres. Torres into the middle, it's headed wide. MD Myers was the target. Battery were appealing that it might have been a corner. It looks like it's a goal kick.
This is that influence from Dos Santos getting high and wide, and then Torres, a lot of attention goes to MD Myers and Marcanic, rightfully so, 9 goals and 16 goals. But Torres is an explosive wide attacking player, and somebody that if you don't have proper support in behind, you can find yourself in a world of trouble.
Miami trying to play their way out of the back here. It's lifted over the top by Samuel Bayek. The Battery have it covered. It's a Miami throw.
It's a positive first 12 minutes for Miami. I mean, it's
just about to ask you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've absorbed some pressure. You know, that wide delivery there by Torres was something that Charleston's going to continue to ask questions of. But the chance by Molina, that left-footed take, I mean, Miami has been pretty dynamic going forward, but this can also attest to the first halves they've put together.
It's also seemingly coupled in with another slow Battery start, at least from a defensive standpoint.
For sure. Yeah, and that's kind of sometimes where you have these matchups where something's got to give, because for Miami, I mean, they boast the most goals against.
But quickly, everything can change as Myers was nearly found inside the penalty area. Didn't get a touch on it, and Gagliardi is there.
And that's where you have that saying where goals change games, but timely goals change games as well. You have the free kick or the corner kick from Miami. You find that space right above the 18-yard box, and that ball slipped in. I mean, just not enough to beat Gagliardi, but that's another one where Miami looks at each other and they say, okay, let's lock back in. We just got away with one.
That's what the Battery are capable of. In the blink of an eye, they can get you on the attack. Segbers down the line. Marcanic fights off the challenge that came in from Alejandro Mitrano.
Well, and what I was saying before that ball was slipped in for that chance is this is a Miami side that boasts the most goals scored against in the USL Championship, 45. They have the 20 goals scored and then the 45 goals against, so it's a team that has seen the ball go in the back of the net quite often against, and for Charleston, one of the top goal scoring teams in the USL Championship.
It's going to be a foul against Charleston. Miami has to take it from where the referee spotted it. Antonio Nocerino told us about the defensive struggles, and the word that he used was concentration. Just lapses in concentration from time to time have really hurt Miami. And again, what's really damning about the 45 conceded is it's 15 more than any other team in the USL Championship. It's been a problem all season. There's really no other way to put it.
Yeah, you talk to coaches around the USL Championship, any league around the country, and top teams are balanced in both boxes. You're scoring goals when you need to score goals, and you're not conceding. And when you have such a discrepancy in goals scored and goals scored against, you know, that's a problem. And to your point, Antonio Nocerino detailed those fine margins and those duels that you encounter on set pieces, those duels out wide, services. You've got to win those battles.
It's going to be a reset for Miami, back to Gagliardi. Battery matches are the perfect place to make lifelong memories with your friends and family. Groups of 10 or more can enjoy discounted tickets, exclusive on-field experiences, private hospitality areas to catch the match. Visit charlestonbattery.com to learn more and plan a memorable night at Patriots Point. Always a great crowd here. Ben Pierman talked to us about the attachment between the players, the crowd, the community as well. They're always so well supported, and part of the reason why the Battery want to keep the levels so high and things like that are for these fans that continue to show up and show out throughout not only the games, these seasons that Ben Pierman's been here, but really throughout the decades that the Battery have been in Charleston, and just been a wonderful club to watch form over the last 10, 20, 30 years, and they're one of the cornerstones of the league.
Well, and you make a great point, because that's why you have the record at home that you have too.
Yeah.
When you accompany and you complement both those sides, you have a standard of play and you have an identity that brings the fans out, and then you have the support from the fans of the community. And that's why right now you boast a 6-1-1 record at home. And that one loss against El Paso, I mean, they had a terrific home match against Lou City. I mean, two of the top teams in the East battling it out here in Patriots Point.
Of course, they beat Lou City here in the Eastern Conference Final. That was a wonderful occasion, wonderful crowd. They had a great crowd here for the final as well. Just didn't work out for them on penalties. Near side Segbers. Good ball across. It was dangerous, just a hair in front of Marcanic. Gagliardi gobbles it up.
And we've seen it from the left side with Dos Santos and Torres, the interchange, and now you see it here with Marcanic and the entry of Mark Segbers, player that always has that high quality on those wide services, along with Dos Santos. As we see Segbers down now.
It is raining here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I wonder if that is impacting the pitch. Most likely is, and I wonder if that's what led to Segbers having to go down with an injury here. You may have seen a few glimpses already of Not just this man, Ben Pierman, talking with Dos Santos, but Antonio Nocerino. He's a passionate coach. Both guys are. And Miami could have lost every game this season. It's going to be the same guy on that touchline. And he was such a great chat earlier in the week. He's trying to continue to push through some of the younger guys and have them develop. Miami's got some really talented youngsters in this group. And of course, Felipe Rodriguez is one of those who's on the bench to start the night. Of course, the concern right now is for Ben Pierman's group with Segbers, who is coming off the field very gingerly at the moment. Ben Pierman doesn't have a ton of defensive reinforcements in his bench tonight. That also should be mentioned. He has Josh Drack, and that's pretty much it, frankly. A few midfielders in there, and then he has 3 strikers. 2 of them are pretty young, along with Jackson Conway. So if Mark Segbers can't go, that might force Ben Pierman into a tough early decision here.
Yeah, Robbie Crawford's always a versatile player. I don't know how often he's played along that back line, but yeah, not what you want to see here 19 minutes into the game. This player take a knee and having to come off and see if he re-enters.
Looked like off camera, Segbers did get back onto the pitch. So it is 11 v 11. We'll see how Segbers carries on as we're nearly 20 minutes gone here in the Low Country. Miami have had a couple of good opportunities so far. The Battery are back in possession. Dos Santos scored his first pro goal against Hartford last time out. Rodriguez slices it through. It's MD Myers. He tumbles over. No foul. There's going to be a foul against the Battery on the secondary action. Free kick for the visitors.
And this is a clever ball played in. It looked like MD Myers is going to take a touch to explode out of that space and absorbs contact there, and then, but referee Elvis Osmanovic was in that position where he saw it clearly, and naturally you're going to get all the appeals from the team that wants the call.
Ben Pierman asked the question to the 4th official on this near side. It's one of those where maybe 50-50, 60-40. The referee in the end saw the angle and pretty quickly decided not to give the penalty, as Rodriguez is down in a heap. And it's a free kick for the Battery after maybe a cheaply given away free kick here from Miami.
I know that Mark Segbers came on a few moments ago after that going down, but it's really good to see him able to continue, because sometimes you want to watch, as we kind of mentioned, the slick surface, kind of want to watch how the mobility is when you first come on. And good to see him active and climbing the field. Now you've got Aaron Malloy on this free kick.
Great shot from our crew of Antonio Nocerino. It told you all you needed to know about that giveaway of a free kick.
Well, this hasn't been your strength all season, is winning these duels and set pieces. You don't want to concede them in your defensive third.
And you have arguably the best set piece taker in the league coming at you in Aaron Malloy. Always seems to put it in a good spot. This one is almost no exception, although Gagliardi did have to punch that away. That comes maybe up off the arm unintentionally. Referee rightly allows play to continue. Miami play their way out of it. Lovely ball up ahead by Molina. It's been up ahead to Lopez, who's offside for Miami, who nearly had a wonderful break, but it fizzles out.
It starts on this free kick. Again, Gagliardi had to punch this out, being tight to play out for Miami FC, and very well done. This combination right here, and it almost looked like if Frank Lopez, you see the excitement with his run here, if he would have just held it for a split second, his positioning was right on in between that outside back and center back of Charleston, but just left a bit too early, and then leading to that offside call.
Another positive sequence, though, from Miami. Feather touch by Torres out to Dos Santos. Arturo Rodriguez Slices one in. It's headed high into the air towards the goal. Gagliardi punches it out of traffic. And Malloy settles it down for a reset.
And you could see how comfortable this front three are with Charleston, because this is already a multitude of times where you've seen Torres and Marcanic switch. Now Marcanic back on that right flank. You've seen Torres drift over there. You've seen Marcanic drift off to the left. Always asking different questions of opponents' back line.
Malloy for Allen. Graham Smith joins in. Malloy asks for it and receives it. Tries to just slice the ball through again, but he follows up nicely, and Torres wasn't anticipating it. The surface didn't help him. It's going to be a Miami throw.
And it looked like on that ball, Torres just couldn't get his footing, cut back and get possession of it. Looks like this surface just continues to get slicker and slicker, and that's where you see which team takes advantage of that pace of play. Sometimes when you have a team in Charleston that the interchange is there, their 1v1 ability is there.
Malloy, Rodriguez again, back-to-back good challenges from Nitrano, but the Battery get it back again. Lovely dummy for Arturo Rodriguez. His shot is blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Dos Santos keeps it going for Malloy. Near side Torres. Couple of step overs and one. Torres! Great save by Gagliardi at his near post. Torres tried to sneak it through. The Battery will settle for a corner. Great save.
And you're just seeing Charleston pop these passes around the 18-yard box of Miami FC, and this is how explosive and dynamic Torres can be, putting it on that left foot, putting Gagliardi into a top-class save, going down near post.
Smart shot from Juan Torres, just couldn't quite beat Gagliardi. And again, before Malloy takes the corner, there's more physicality inside the penalty area that the referee is trying to crack down on here. This time, Dalton Knutson getting a talking to. Take two again, this time from the near side corner for the Irishman, Aaron Malloy. He bends it in beautifully. It was a chance to shoot initially. Marcanic follows up. Meyer shields and can't get the ball. Couldn't keep it and certainly couldn't get it to a teammate. Cavallanes brings it the other way for Miami.
It almost looked like MD Myers was trying to shield the ball for a teammate, and he just had nobody joining in that moment.
Lopez joins in for Miami on the near side. He's going to cut it back and tried to shoot infield. Blocked away. Miami have some help with Cabral. He's going to be forced back to Mitrano to reset, and then Cabral wasn't ready for it. And it's a good defensive intervention from the top goal scorer in the league, Marcanic.
Now can Charleston go and push the pace when Miami's got numbers committed forward?
Allen. Rodriguez. Back for Allen. Some space if he can control it. Allen across! And it was a decent header from Nick Marcanic, but Gagliardi is there for Miami.
And here's this corner by Aaron Malloy. See the numbers around the box for Charleston, and MD Myers just trying to hold off Bayek, and then the quick counter from Miami. They get dispossessed, and the patience there from Chris Allen. He doesn't take that service one touch just because that ball slipped in. Takes his time, picks his head up, and I'd say the pace and the location of that header probably needed to be a bit better to beat Gagliardi in that moment. And Ben Pierman said they've been so good in possession this year that sometimes they just naturally get a team stuck in their own half, that they're absorbing the pressure, and it's tougher to break teams down when they've got 11 players behind the ball. Sometimes when you have those counter-attacking moments, that transition moment where you did see Miami commit so many numbers forward, you saw that opportunity by Frank Lopez. That's where he says sometimes this team has been at their best when they have that ability and that space, and you saw it right there. That ball slipped in to Chris Allen, that fine balance between pushing the tempo but also finding the right pass.
Ben Pierman told us that they're likely going to face a back five. That's what they're up against. He said he wants it to be pedal to the metal from the early stages. It took him about 15 minutes, but Charleston's starting to hit a good vein of form here, and it wasn't for a couple of good plays from Daniel Gagliardi. He might already have one or two in. Battery are back at Patriots Point Saturday, August 3rd, facing Indy 11, August 2nd, I should say. Tickets are available now via SeatGeek, the Battery's exclusive ticket provider. Get your tickets now and save up to $10 per seat when you buy in advance. Head to tickets.charlestonbattery.com for that big match against Indy 11 on August 2nd. And if you can't make it, I believe that one's going to be on CBS Sports Golazo Network, and that's going to be a massive tilt between two of the top teams in the league.
I was going to say, what a race for not only the top two that we continue to see between Charleston and Lou City, but top four. I mean, Indy 11 off to that slow start to the season, and then they just rattle it off result after result, and then Open Cup.
We had the Rowdies against Orange County last week, and they looked really impressive as well. And they're right in the thick of that top four also.
Yep. And Detroit City and Birmingham, they're two teams that I think everybody's still trying to get a grasp on, because they have a couple matches where they just look dangerous. And then they have a couple matches where they kind of flatten out and they stall out performance-wise. And Birmingham taking that midweek loss now to Rhode Island 3-1, Rhode Island side that, I mean, I don't know if I've seen that many draws in this early in a season. I mean, 10 draws for Rhode Island, only the 4 losses and the 5 wins.
You look at where Rhode Island's at right now, the great season that Loudoun are having under Ryan Martin. Where's North Carolina going to fit in the hierarchy? Can Pittsburgh turn what they did against Oakland into something of substance? They had put 5 past the second top team, I should say, in the West. Can they keep that up after they had struggled so long to score goals? Is that a good sign of things to come for the Hounds, who can still be really dangerous in this Eastern Conference race? And we're only towards the end of July. Still so much time to go to answer these questions.
Well, then big matchup tonight, North Carolina against Detroit City. I mean, that's a North Carolina side that desperately needs 3 points, sit below the playoff line right now, and again, Detroit City would like to start stringing some results together as well. They had that draw and then that loss to Memphis.
They're around the same time in their match as we are. It's 0-0 right now, and again, you know, this is the standings before the game kicked off tonight in the Low Country, and I mean, it's so hard to really put together a hierarchy because it could change so quickly. I mean, that win for Pittsburgh could do them the world of good, and we didn't even mention Hartford. They're by no means out of it yet, and if anyone knows the talent they have, it's the Battery. Hartford looks so good in that first half, but can they put together consistent performances? And of course, if anybody can figure that out, it's Brendan Burke, who everywhere he's been, he's won in this league.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Charleston just did not seem to be in form in that first 45, and that was a lot of credit to Hartford.
They're in behind here with Torres, who hits it off the outside of the frame.
There's that influence in that final third by Torres, and you see Dos Santos joining along that left side. Torres has been a player with a one-track mind right now. He's gotten on the ball, and he's known exactly where and when and how to get to goal as quickly as possible. He's tested it with his left foot, right foot, all sorts of different angles, forced Gagliardi into a tough save earlier on in this first half.
Segbers finds Rodriguez. Myers and Marcanic lurking in the penalty area. Malloy to Myers. Rodriguez. Malloy will switch the point of attack to Smith. Dos Santos bends it into the middle, and Gagliardi is able to clutch it. He's trying to release Lopez early here. Lopez battling with Archer. Archer wins the battle. And then Lopez follows through on the back end of that. Looks like it's just a talking to from the referee, but that was a needless interaction.
And I really love what Gagliardi does here in this sequence. He catches, not only catches the ball at the highest point and makes that service move, but he gets his head up, looks downfield, and whenever you have an opponent that is stacking numbers in your box and throwing so many numbers, the runs, the timing, you want a goalkeeper that gonna look up, maybe punish you in that 1v1 matchup. Say, hey, if you're gonna throw those kind of numbers at us going forward, you're gonna stack that many players in our own 18-yard box, I'm gonna release one and see if we can get Frank Lopez 1v1. And then now you start second guessing sometimes. Do I release, do I go early?
Right idea from Malloy. Marcanic tried to turn past two Miami defenders, but it bounced away from him. Again, last time out for Miami, they really struggled at home against Rhode Island. They were 3-0 down before they kind of woke up at the end. They did get it back to 3-2 in that game, to be fair, but just a little inkling of some of the struggles they've had defensively this season. So far tonight, it's been a solid start. And of course, Gagliardi has been a big part of that.
And we talked about how difficult this league is, USL Championship. I mean, just team after team. There's just no night that you go into a game and you're like, this is an easier one, or because even 4 games ago, sorry, this is a Miami FC team that drew with Loudoun United, who we were just talking about is among the top in that conversation in the Eastern Conference, tied them 2-2.
Torres, cross blocked. Allen tried to help it along. Molina gives the ball right back to the battery.
My goodness, the ground that Torres is covering right now. Working on the right, working on the left, tracking back, getting back on the ball.
Another good ball centrally. Rodriguez on the turn, Marcanic. And it's scooped away from him by Molina. Critical challenge there. Again, Miami pinned in their own end. Malloy was laid off for Rodriguez. Dos Santos thought about it. Allen for Torres! Gagliardi knew where it was going, but it wasn't far away.
Feel like every possession in the attacking third, there's involvement from that man Torres, whether he's playmaking or finishing it with a shot. He is making sure that he is heavily involved in what this Charleston Battery team is doing in that final third, commanding a lot of attention. And does that attention start to drift? And now you start to see space for Marcanic. You start to see MD Myers, because of the work and the playmaking ability of Torres. This has got to be a Charleston side that see this next 8 minutes or so as a time where you've got to try to find a goal here before the break.
There is an update from the North Carolina-Detroit City game. A North Carolina player got sent off in the first half. They're down to 10. That could open the door Danny Dicchio's group to get some huge road points tonight. But it's still 0-0, approaching the end of the first half. Segber's little give and go. MD Myers gets onto it for Charleston. Little back heel for Rodriguez. It pinballs around. Still Rodriguez tried to find Marcanic. Blocked away. Segber's follows up and throws himself to the ground. No penalty. The Battery appealed. Referee didn't give it a second look.
What clever link-up play throughout this sequence. Obviously, some of the ideas leading into heavy numbers defensively for Miami FC, but the opportunistic nature that the Charleston Battery play with, they're always in and around the ball, swarming.
Marcanic through a couple of bodies, blocked away. Segber's getting more involved as the half moves along here. Back and forth with Malloy, who wasn't anticipating his movement in field, and then compounds the situation by committing a foul and alleviating the Miami pressure. As we get a chance to look back, as Ben Pierman looks on at that penalty shout.
And this is what Charleston does so well, is they create opportunities from that second, third wave of the attack, and Mark Segber's here on the ball, trying to force the referee, Elvis Osmanovic, into a decision on this play from Molina for Miami FC. But we've seen it throughout the season for Charleston, and we saw it in the goal they scored, the first goal they scored against Hartford. That just collective tenacity, that relentlessness in the box that gets Dos Santos that first goal that then shifts the momentum. They get the second goal late in the 90th minute from Marcanic, and you leave Hartford with a draw and 1 point, and that's huge. But that's that relentlessness that this team showcases. Those moments, they just never feel like the ball is out of reach. They're always trying to regain possession, trying to put another ball in a dangerous area.
Of course, Lou City taking on the Switchbacks of Colorado Springs tonight. They're about to enter the 10th minute at Lynn Family Stadium. No score. That's another big one that impacts both races. Again, we're keeping an eye on that because if Lou City drops points tonight and the Battery win, that leaves the Charleston Battery at the top of the USL Championship at the end of the night. Of course, the Switchbacks are trying to battle into the top 4 in the West. This ball's bent towards Torres. And it's out of play.
And trying to bounce back from a recent loss to Birmingham Legion.
Yes, where they had a lead.
Yep.
Yeah. Another good example of, the Legion at times can really impress you, and they look like they're a team that can maybe push towards the top 4 or 5, and then there's other weeks where you wonder where they're going to finish in the table, if it's going to be in the top 8 at all.
Yeah, and Birmingham had a tough stretch. They played Detroit City, won that one 2-1. Then they played Lou City, lost 4-1, played Charleston, lost 2-0, and then had that bounce back game against Colorado Springs Switchbacks, but then followed that up with the loss to Rhode Island. That was a tough stretch because Rhode Island is a team that was one of those teams in the East that was struggling to put goals in the back of the net. Now they've just absolutely exploded.
Competition's heating up this summer on CBS. Sac Republic look for revenge against Red Hot Oakland. Sunday, July 21st. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS. August 3rd, 4 p.m. Detroit takes on Rhode Island for the first time as the USL Summer of Soccer continues on the CBS network. Yeah, 2 really enticing fixtures there. Again, we saw the Roots get walloped at Highmark, but before that, Gavin Glinton's put them right back on track, and they're still sitting in second in the West. As Rodriguez placed this in the middle, tried to find the head of MD Myers. It's out for a Charleston corner.
And right now, Charleston are asking all the right questions, but right now, Miami FC terrific at answering those questions. They're absorbing a lot of pressure, but they're doing it collectively. They're not leaving massive gaps to play into. They're providing good support. They're down pressing very well collectively.
Malloy tried to find the near post. Dos Santos was closest to it. Miami had it covered. And Allen just about wins that back for the Battery. Malloy into the middle for Marcanic, centrally from Myers. Just couldn't get a boot onto it. Lopez comes all the way back to help. And Miami can just get it upfield. Cavallanez just about gets ahead onto it, but the Battery have the numbers again, and they quickly get it back in possession.
And Miami has done a good job of defending these free kicks. I mean, we talked about some of the fouls in the defensive third. You want to limit how many of those you concede, but on corner kicks, they've been the ones to make first contact most part.
Antonio Nocerino talked about how improvements on set pieces could help turn a corner for Miami. They've done it well so far. Allen. Get an infield pass. Marcanic. Torres tried to throw a boot at it. Malloy, you could see where he was aiming. Segbers, though, was occupied. And it's going to be a foul against M.D. Myers.
And if this scoreline stays 0-0 going to the break, it is going to be fascinating on which mentality wins out in the second 45, because you have a team in Charleston. We've talked about those woes of conceding, and trust me, it's not a huge trend where they're conceding first half goals at a high rate in every game, but their second halves have been terrific. They're coming out and scoring quite a few goals in the second half, and Miami FC have been known to put first half performances together, and you said it just a moment ago with defending free kicks for now. They've
right.
defended them for now in terms of, and I think that's where they want to turn the page, and they want to do it for a full 90 minutes, and that's going to be the key. So if this game goes in 0-0, the conversations are going to really guide what the next 45 minutes look like.
Battery back on the attack. Rodriguez. Marcanic. Forced to go back to Allen. Malloy has to leave it for Smith. Added time brought to you by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. We're into one added minute at the end of the half. Miami is able to clear their lines here. Archer had to be careful with Lopez on his hip. He clears upfield. Segbers, he's tackled down. Free kick, given away by Cabral.
And if you're Charleston, can you create one more clear-cut chance?
Torres. Still Torres! Oh! Awkward for Gagliardi in the end. And it's out for a corner. Tough to tell what Torres' intent was, but it made life difficult on Miami's defense.
And you knew as soon as this ball left his foot, it was right in that territory where it could be dangerous on frame, or it could be something difficult to deal with numbers crashing.
From the corner, Malloy has to reset. Surely the last attack of the half. Malloy again. High archer towards Dos Santos. It's headed back towards Malloy. Dos Santos again. Flag stayed down. Rodriguez! Ricochets out for a corner, but there's no time to take it. And the half ends a couple of maybe 25, 30 seconds past the minimum of one added on. And it's 0-0 with 45 minutes to play, Coach.
And I've said it throughout this first 45, Miami has had to absorb a lot of pressure, but they've done it collectively, and they've made sure that the structure was there. They've been very difficult to break down, and even in the moments that you saw some of the wide play be successful for Charleston, they've gotten back and they've gotten themselves in a good position. For Charleston, they've just got to continue to ask those questions, try to unlock that space.
Referee gave a yellow card out there, by the way, as the players were walking out. We'll clear all of that up when we come back. It's 0-0 at the half between the Battery and Miami. We've got a good one here in the Low Country. Plenty to talk about around the league and around the Battery as well. Coming up next.
Innovation means training tomorrow's leaders in the latest technologies, because we know the next idea to change the future of medicine may well come from them. At the Medical University of South Carolina, innovation is who we are.
L is for the way you look. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give to you.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. Like in 2005, when lottery proceeds helped purchase new school buses that kept South Carolina students on the road to success. Because arriving safely to school every day is the first important step on their journeys to the careers and lives they've always dreamed of. When you play the lottery, you're helping fund the futures of students all over our state, which is why education is our middle name.
Innovation means developing novel therapies for patients today and taking the first steps toward life-changing discoveries decades in the future. At the Medical University of South Carolina, innovation is who we are.
When you know that you're finally home, and that long stretch of road falls behind that line. Won't stop, don't stop, believe and tell me what you want, I want you see it. 'Cause right here, right now, you can be anybody.
Sean and Eric back here with you. It's 0-0 between Charleston and Miami. Good half of play in the Low Country. We'll see who can come out on top in the second half. And Coach, we look at the upcoming schedule for Charleston. It just doesn't get any easier for Ben Pierman's group.
Yeah, two tough road tests. I mean, you go to Loudoun United, who put themselves right in the thick of things in the playoff picture, and Tampa Bay Rowdies, and then you host Indy 11, Memphis, who's one of the top scoring offenses in the West, and then at Lou City. I mean, that's a quite a 5-game stretch right here.
Battery are going to be tested. We'll learn even more than we already know about them after that run of form. Time to learn more about the Charleston Battery players and some of their favorite tattoos and the meaning behind them.
My favorite tattoo is one on my arm. It's a breast cancer sign with two little dates, which is the 2 times that my mom had breast cancer. She's someone that's very selfless, very caring, very just giving to others. It's always just a good reminder to keep going, to keep fighting, and also a nice little reminder that, you know, she fought and won. It's just another kind of shout out to my mom.
This is my most important tattoo to me because I got it with my brother and sister. I got the 3rd one filled in because I'm the 3rd child, the youngest child. My brother got the middle one and my sister got the 1st one filled in, so I think that's the most important tattoo to me, and that means the most to me.
It's just me and my grandfather because he's always meant a lot to me. I got it for him, and then this, I got 4 flowers for my grandparents because they've always been a big part of my life in my mother's eye.
This is my favorite tattoo. It's my family. The name, my mom, my sister, and my dad. This is a tree. In Colombia is árbol genealógico. This is my favorite.
My mom's name is Rosa, so I got a rose for her, and this is actually her eye right here. But I also grew up in a religious household, so Jesus is always on me. I got both my parents' birthdays, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is it somebody's birthday? Dad, come watch us hit this ugly piñata. Dad!
When Hornets show up, so do we. Terminix it.
They're hungry for the women's game. They want to see women's soccer. They want to play women's soccer, and that's what we're building at the USL.
You can see it in my eyes when we walk past. Running every night, won't settle for less. Got me looking to the sky, got me feeling blessed. Got this fire burning up inside of my chest. Burning up inside of my chest. Got this fire burning up inside of my chest.
The best nights start with Jägermeister. Made with 56 botanicals. Always served ice cold.
Take a miracle to come back from this. Heartbreaking end to the season. But what's this?
For the moments when anticipation
Clock's counting down. 5 seconds. 3, 2.
becomes celebration. Jägermeister. Meister the moment.
What a moment!
Gonna be Danny Griffin! Oh, that's a wonderful captain's goal for the Riverhounds! Sends it front! No! Michi Angelina!
When mosquitoes show up, so do we. Terminix it.
I always tell my friends that if they want everything in one weekend, they should come to Charleston.
I think you'll feel the love when you visit Charleston.
Sean St. Jacques, Eric Dobransky, our entire crew back here with you at the half. No score between Charleston and Miami with a huge 45 minutes still to go in the Low Country. Chance to take a look around the league, scores from elsewhere. Of course, the big one between North Carolina, Detroit City, it's 0-0, but there's a red card that came out inside of 5 minutes. Carolina down to 10, and Malik Foster has the switchbacks ahead in the first half at Louisville.
Yeah, and it seems like that North Carolina FC and Detroit City game has been very physical. As you mentioned, the one red card to Ezra Armstrong and then 2 yellow cards for Detroit City, and it's just at the half. Big result right now for Colorado Springs switchbacks. Malik Foster, as you mentioned, puts his team up 1-0. That'd be a big result. And then Phoenix Rising, El Paso is at the bottom of the West, and these are 2 teams that desperately need 3 points to start climbing into that playoff hunt.
Scores from around the league brought to you by the Charleston International Airport as we transition to Team of the Week for Week 19. And of course, you'll see some representation from the Riverhounds through Bob Lilly and that big win over Oakland last time out. But of course, Aaron Malloy there for the Battery for his contributions. Had 9 chances created in the 2-2 draw against Hartford.
Leads the league in chances created, the 57. I mean, and the way that he influences the game on and off the ball, defensively, screening passes, the 1v1 duels. It's big performances from Aaron Malloy.
Really has been impressive as we look at the upcoming summer of soccer, not just here on the ESPN networks, but on CBS's networks as well. Of course, Pittsburgh against Hartford coming up tomorrow on ESPN2. That's a big one, but of course, we're also looking forward to Sunday, CBS, Oakland against Sac Republic. Los Roots and all the great supporters groups are going to be out ready to go.
And obviously a lot of these matchups, some are predicated on how important they are in the standings, in the race in the standings. And you look at these matchups and you can see them trending that direction, because my eyes will go straight to Saturday, August 10th, when Lou City and Sacramento Republic match up. 2 good friends, Danny Cruz and Mark Briggs. That's always a fun matchup.
No doubt about it. Could have a couple of previews here as well for the playoffs, and who knows where beyond there. We looked at last week's Team of the Week. Time to look at last week's Save of the Week and Goal of the Week in the USL Championship.
Plays it across, and Salt got just enough to steer it wide.
Jimenez curls that one up. Amumensa heads it away, and there's an opportunity! And Memphis takes the 1-0 lead on the side volley.
When we took this job, we knew that the future was the EX90.
A lot of people are excited about it.
We're really happy to see the EX90 on the line.
I'm Tamara Thompson. And Rachel Gillum.
My name is Eric Brown.
And the Volvo EX90 was made by us.
L is for the way you look. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give to you.
This is your vacation, your beach, your fields of green, skies of blue, mountains of majesty. You're an athlete, you're obsessed, you're in love, you're in pain, spirit drained, in agony, fighting gravity, because you made a commitment to yourself and others to work on your game, build your frame in blazing heat, exhausted and beat, because when you refuse to yield, your spirit is revealed. You are an athlete. MUSC Health Sports Medicine.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. Like in 2005, when lottery proceeds helped purchase new school buses that kept South Carolina students on the road to success. Because arriving safely to school every day is the first important step on their journeys to the careers and lives they've always dreamed of. When you play the lottery, you're helping fund the futures of students all over our state, which is why education is our middle name.
When we took this job, we knew that the future was the EX90.
A lot of people are excited about it.
We're really happy to see the EX90 on the line.
I'm Tamara Thompson. And Rachel Gillum.
My name is Eric Brown.
And the Volvo EX90 was made by us.
Moments away from the start of the second half. Who's going to have their name up in lights tonight between the Battery and Miami? No score yet with 45 minutes still to play. Charles St. Jacques, Eric Dobransky here with you. Let's jump into the first half highlights here between these two Eastern Conference combatants. And Coach, you begin early with a Miami opportunity.
Yeah, and it was both teams exchanging chances and asking different questions. This ball played out to Molina, driving at, and good overlap from Cabral. That left-footed take right here takes a slight deflection, and Grinwis almost just has to stare at it, hoping that it hits side netting. And that's what they did a good job of, Miami, picking and choosing their moments in transition. Torres had his thumbprint all over this first 45 minutes. On the ball, off the ball, the runs, the delivery. This ball just going wide. Very involved in terms of setting the tempo. And then Mark Segber's this entry pass. This is where some of these slipped balls in have just missed that final touch or that final execution from Charleston Battery. They are being patient in some of those moments and picking the good, the upgrade. And then they see this ball out wide. And Torres again on the ball, the drive, puts it on his left foot and forces Gagliardi into a really tough save. Getting low to that near post, conceding the corner, but keeping this game at 0-0.
The Charleston Battery chances just kept on coming after that fast Miami start.
It was, and they seemed to really take the control of the tempo of this match and slowed down a lot of the transition that Miami was looking for. But to Miami's credit, they have not allowed a clear-cut opportunity other than that left-footed chance by Torres that Gagliardi was forced into. Good patience there by Chris Allen for that clipped-in ball to Marcanic that just ended up in the hands of Gagliardi. And then Torres again, service that just seems to slip out of the hands of Gagliardi, but still doing enough to keep this game at 0-0.
Yeah, awkward moment there, but Miami stayed with it. Heineken halftime stats look like this. No shots on target for Miami. That's worth mentioning, despite a good start to the match. 11 shots to 3, but the Battery have not breached the net, and that'll give Miami some confidence going into the second 45.
And this is where trends and storylines are going to play themselves out real time, because Charleston Battery have been very good after the break. And to be fair, they've been very good throughout the season. That's why they only have 2 losses. But recently, they've needed second half comebacks to earn points. And for Miami FC, this is where they've sputtered out a bit. They've put good first half performances together, but they've been doomed by these second 45s.
Last time Miami kept a clean sheet March 9th, first day of the season against Colorado Springs, a 2-0 victory at home. So the Battery will feel that the second 45 could still very much be theirs for the taking. Miami are also, of course, still looking for their first road win of the season. Again, sometimes in the USL Championship, you just throw the numbers out the window. Miami have hung tough. The Battery have yet to score.
Well, and that's a great point, because I was about to throw some numbers out in terms of final third entries, and these are numbers that I always like to look at. Final third entries, 46 for the Charleston Battery, 14 for Miami FC.
Yeah.
Touches in the opposition box, 28 for Charleston Battery, 6 for Miami FC. But this game, to your point, is still 0-0.
It's still 0-0 between North Carolina and Detroit. We'll keep you up to date on that one. North Carolina down to 10. Louisville equalized, by the way. So it's 1-1. Elijah Winder giving Louisville a goal there. It's 1-1 in the 29th minute in Kentucky. Battery going from right to left at the start of the second half. Rodriguez out to the far side for Segbers. Segbers across Marcanic! It's as simple as that for the Battery. Just give the ball to Nick Marcanic and he will score. It's his 17th goal of the season, and Charleston are in front.
And this delivery right here, putting it in the perfect space where all Nick Marcanic has to do is have this glancing touch, just leading it past Gagliardi. What a setup from that wide delivery, but then the awareness to just touch that ball past Gagliardi and know the space that you're occupying, to not only explode into that space, but the composure to tuck that ball away.
Is he gonna start running away with the Golden Boot race? He's on another rich vein of goal-scoring form. It's a Diamonds direct goal, a dazzling one at that, for the Battery. And for Nick Marcanic, again, his 17th of the season. He's now scored in his last 4 USL Championship games.
I mean, I think obviously the number is staggering in terms of 17 goals this season so far, as we see a good service in here by Marana. But it's the ability to have that tally and be a marked man every game. I mean, the relationship that MD Myers and Torres and Marcanic have, and the movement as we see it in real time.
Myers closed down by 4 Miami defenders, and right on cue, they almost link up again.
And that's so important to the creation of those chances, but to still find a way, because you still have to finish the opportunity. We all know a lot of quality attacking players that put themselves in the right spot. They're lurking in that dangerous space, and they just misfire, or they lack that composure to tuck it away, and their goal tally goes from where it should be to a clearly lower number. But Marcanic just does it day in, day out. Yes, he hit a spell kind of towards the middle of that first half of the season where there was a bit of a goalless drought. But boy, has he picked it up since then.
He gets on the ball again here for the Battery. And he sends this into the middle. Rodriguez was in the area. It came out for an opportunity. Oh, and the referee brings this back. It's gonna be a Battery penalty. And a yellow card. He's brandished as well.
Well, this is not the first 5 minutes that Antonio Nocerino and Miami FC were looking, and it looks like Marana is up and challenging this, maybe going through the back, and it looks like going through the back of the head of Charleston Battery player in that sequence. It looks like Nick Marcanic, the ball in his hand, setting up to take this and looking to add to to that goal tally that we were already talking about.
Looked like Marcanic actually just got bumped into by Nicolas Cardona as he was trying to give some encouragement to Gagliardi, some gamesmanship there. The league's top goal scorer will look to add onto his tally. He just scored a few moments ago, and Nick Marcanic scores again. He's a goal-scoring machine for the Charleston Battery. He has a brace, and the Battery are in complete control. They lead by 2-0.
You step up, you pick your spot, and you hit your spot. And that's exactly what Nick Marcanic does here in this sequence. Begins this play as he clips this ball in. So Arturo Rodriguez up on the challenge there, and then just confidently steps up. Sees Gagliardi already drifting to his left side and can just punish this ball central and put his team up 2-0.
18 goals for Nick Marcanic. It's another Diamonds direct goal for the Battery, a sparkling finish from Nick Marcanic. He's on a hat trick. Just when it looked like at half that Miami were staying in the game, they were continuing to fight. The league's leading goal scorer has hit them for 2 at the start of the second half. Miami look to respond at the other end. Cross is blocked, a chance to re-enter a pass. Malloy all over it. The Battery come out with it through Arturo Rodriguez. Sends it out to the far side. Marcanic on a hat trick. Place it square. It's gonna be Torres. And it's gonna be deflected out of play. And the Battery will have a corner to work with.
You look at it, Albert Diqua, Golden Boot winner, Player of the Year. Last year, 20 goals. I mean,
yeah.
Marcanic's sitting at 18.
It's July 19th.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the form that Nick Marcanic has been in this season. Malloy into the middle. It was bouncing around. Marcanic stays with it. Finds Torres. Allen resets. It's played back across. Leland Archer, of all people, was in the middle. It'll go out for a Charleston throw.
Now for Miami FC, do you see the floodgates open? Do you, because you did absorb a lot of pressure in that first 45, but you did a great job of not conceding. Now you've seen the ball go in the back of the net twice here in the first 5 minutes. Can you weather this storm? Can you pull back one, I would say by the 70th minute, and give yourself a quality 20 minutes to pull back a second or even go ahead and find a game winner? But you have to make sure that this game stays at 2-0, and right now Charleston just has Miami FC absolutely pinned back and unable to leave their defensive third.
Dos Santos bundled into, and Morana's got to be careful here. He was just booked a moment ago for the penalty, and he's starting to get more and more frustrated as these second half moves along.
And don't make a tough climb back into this match even tougher and put your team down a player. And I know there's going to be frustration from conceding that penalty, and when you're in those wide areas, those 1v1 duels can get physical. Make sure you're sitting on the yellow, make sure you stay in this match, and you give your team a chance to continue to battle 11v11.
Torres to take. It's bent into the penalty area, and a foul. It's going to go the other way against Charleston. Might have been a little bit too overzealous from Leland Archer. There's a Miami player down who was likely involved in that very same challenge.
And I think Knutson mentioning to Elvis Osmanovic, why isn't there a yellow in that situation? But again, with all the calls from the beginning till now here in the 55th minute. Referees continue to put himself in really good positions to make those calls, have been consistent throughout.
Adam Grinwis hasn't had a ton to do tonight. He rolls the ball out. As we can tell you about the Battery having a brand new look on and off the field this season thanks to Hummel, club's official jersey provider. Check out the full line of new Battery gear, including the custom 2024 kits, by visiting shop.charlestonbattery.com. Rodriguez leads Charleston ahead. They smell blood in the water here, the Battery. Dos Santos back across. It was a really well-weighted pass. Miami were able to deal with it. Malloy. Out to the far side, Segbers. For the man of the moment, Markanek. Allen. For Rodriguez, more clever build-up from Charleston. It's not cleared yet. Segbers. Torres. Markanek. Into the middle. Myers on the turn. And it's a great defensive intervention by Gabriel Cabral.
It almost looked like Arturo Rodriguez was in a position to receive from MD Myers there as well. Mentioned for Miami FC, do the floodgates open for Charleston? Do you become complacent? But you have not seen that. After that second goal, they have kept the foot on the gas.
Malloy for Torres. Oh, it's still Torres! Not a bad effort, but Gagliardi was well positioned. It was a vicious strike from Torres. It was just down the middle in the end.
He has not been shy tonight about asking the question. He's been on top of his game with getting his head up, getting a new picture of goal, upgrading when there's an upgrade there, playing off, but also finding those moments that you want attackers to find, which is add a bit of selfishness, that confidence, that ability to ask those kind of questions and be dangerous in those moments.
Got a couple of glimpses at that near touchline. It does look like Miami was getting a change ready. Before we get to that, we do get to see the great shot from Torres that was right down the middle in the end.
And one of the many strengths of Torres' game is that he does not need a lot of separation to get a quality shot off. You see just the slightest of touches to the left, and he's putting a shot on frame, albeit right to Gagliardi's hands, but he's had some tonight that have posed some threat.
Looks like Junior Palacios is going to be sacrificed here. Luis Pedro is going to come on here to try to help the Miami cause close to the hour mark.
And a quiet night from Palacios. So somebody with the experience that you felt like was going to influence this match, but those are how important initial exchanges are in matchups, because Charleston were so dominant out in those wide areas that Palacios was never able to get forward, join Frank Lopez or Cavallanes, and they pin you into your own half, and you're just unable to be the influence that you want to be going forward. Now see if that changes with Luisinho as he enters the match.
Well, Ben Pierman wanted it to be high tempo, pedal to the metal. It helps when you have Nick Markanek leading the pack in the attack. He's got both of the goals and now has 18 to lead the league. You put that into great context earlier, Eric. Albert Dikwa finished the season with 20 and won the Golden Boot last season. I think it's safe to say it's going to take more than 20 this year to get it done.
And you talk about dual threats throughout the league. I mean, what the Tampa Bay Rowdies are putting together with Cal Jennings and Arteaga.
Ooh, Torres gets past a couple of challenges here. Myers is free! But his shot soars over the top, and I think Gagliardi just put him off enough.
And MD Myers, just as I'm about to talk about the duo that is MD Myers and Nick Marcanic, skies this opportunity. As you look at that, those two from Tampa Bay, Jennings with 11 goals, Arteaga with 10, MD Myers for Charleston here, 9 goals, and then you have the 18 by Marcanic. I mean, and then we've seen how explosive Torres is. I mean, he has the 1 goal on the season, and I think it was a USL goal of the week. It was against FC Tulsa, that from half field, chipping the goalkeeper. And this is, I mean, you have 2 goal scorers that sit amongst the top 5 in the league. It's difficult to slow down.
You said it now, I should say 11's the second highest. That's now a 7-goal margin to make up in the Golden Boot race. Marcanic keeps on scoring. Again, now he's scored in 4 straight league games. Not sure anyone's going to even get close if he can continue this run of form.
And I know that the Players' Shield, Golden Boot race, a lot of these accolades come with being complete teams. They are team awards, but you know that this is a Charleston Battery side that are ambitious to be in the USL final again. They want to complete the journey with a championship, and so they're going to take the ebbs and flows of the season. They're going to navigate, you know, and continue to kind of build upon this incredible identity that they've built, because even from last year's team, there has been turnover, and you still put together such quality in the standard that they have. They want to see it end in a final.
Segber is forced back. Marcanic on a hat trick. Malloy, quick ball back centrally for Torres. Miami appealed for offside. Molina gets there first. Cabral under pressure, just about bends it out of trouble. Marana also able to get it away before he was pressured by Dos Santos. Can Miami break up the other way? The answer is no. Grinwis is there to sweep it away.
And this is a Charleston side that see the departure of Augie Williams going off to India 11, and this is Augie Williams who led the team in scoring last season.
Fidel Barajas going off to greener pastures as well. What an impact he had. Ball in behind here. Myers, oh, he just tried to feather touch it across. Marcanic was in the area. It never got to him. And it goes out of play.
And then you bring in a player like MD Myers, who was the Golden Boot winner in MLS Next Pro, and no stranger to being in front of goal.
Marcanic! Oh! Nearly got a wonderful third for his hat trick. Fizzed it on frame, and it just bent away from the target.
Knutson just continuing to drop in this sequence. So what is Nick Marcanic going to do? Face up, get a new picture of goal, and try to curl that up into that left corner.
Allen. Malloy. Marcanic out wide. Malloy, first time ball in. Ooh, Gagliardi had to read it and catch it. page out of the Jordan Henderson book of crossing during his his Liverpool days.
I
Those
like that, right,
first-time
yeah.
curls into the penalty area. Miami might have some space to work with here with Luisinho. Vilanez. Morano plays this ball across, and for a brief moment, the Battery were in some trouble there. But Charleston get it upfield only for a moment. Good recovery here. Gavilanez on the turn. Can Miami find something? They're going to get a free kick. And an opportunity to climb their way back in the contest.
Good spell here by Miami FC, and knowing that they only need one opportunity to pull this game back within one. Good sequence there, good link-up play, and then Gavilanez, it's a 1v1 battle with Arturo Rodriguez.
It's going to be the last involvement for Arturo Rodriguez. He exits, and Emilio Icaza is going to take his place in the midfield after a job well done. Relayed to him by Ben Pierman for Rodriguez on this near side. Talked about earlier the lack of depth tonight for Ben Pierman at the back, but he's got plenty of depth off the bench in the midfield and in the attack. But they have some defending to do here. Miami with a chance here. Cabral for Lopez. He was open for a moment, had it blocked away. Metrano. Luisinho on the infield cut. He's going to bend one. It wasn't a million miles away, but I think in the end, Grinwis knew exactly where it was going to end up. And a player from Miami collapses at the tail end of this sequence.
Luisinho putting it on that left foot, trying to curl this past Adam Grinwis. Then Frank Lopez immediately signaling to the sideline that he needs to substitute. That's not what we want to see.
I believe Frank Lopez ended up being the player that got that booking right at the end of the half when the referee gave the yellow out while players were walking off the field. That was for dissent, and we're gonna get another look at this, but it just looked like this was not involved in the play. Lopez is at the top of the penalty area and immediately asked for a substitution before the referee tells him to go to the ground.
And it might have been something that he encountered with in that free kick, because he was the one that was at top of the box and had that shot blocked. But that's twice for Miami FC that they've found space right above that defensive block for Charleston on those restarts. Something you want to keep an eye on, because yes, you want to keep it congested in and around your goal area, but you also don't want to leave yourself susceptible to that space 16, 18 yards away from goal, and that's where Frank Lopez was there, and might have been something on that shot that it's like he demonstrating it a bit to the athletic trainer there.
We talked about at the top of the broadcast how important Frank Lopez is to Miami and was going to be tonight, and he had some decent moments in the first half, hasn't made a much of an impact in the second half, and the injury might be a reason for that. So Lopez is going to come out, and Rocco Genzano is going to take his place, we're told. Although that was the initial inclination we were given, but now Lopez is going to try and play on. We were told that that sub was going to happen. Frank Lopez says, "Give me another chance at it, boss," and he's back on the pitch. Well, maybe he just needed a moment. He was the one that was signaling for the change, but he wants to give it a try. Still 20 minutes for Miami to try to save something here in the Low Country. Malloy. Gonna get this ball back. The Battery in search of a third here. Myers touches it out for Torres. Stays with it. Malloy behind him. Lovely turn from Ikaze. Plays in Marcanic. Side netting. And it's a goal kick with Marcanic hunting for a third.
Just terrific balance from Charleston, from the penetrating passes that engage in that final third, but also the awareness to pull the ball back sometimes and start to draw the opponent out a bit more and create that channel for yourself. Don't just feel like you have to jam the ball into spaces where there's already defenders, and that's where that patience has showcased itself for Charleston tonight. Mechanic, tough angle there on that finish. You wonder if maybe pulling that ball back for MD Myers or Ikaza was there crashing, but what do I know? He has 18 goals in the season, so he can. No angle is out of reach for Nick Marcanic. And
two other games going on. There is a big update from Carolina. North Carolina FC have scored. They were down to 10. They have the lead over Detroit. Halftime in Louisville, it's 1-1, still between Lou City and the Switchbacks. That's a huge goal potentially, though, for North Carolina. 19 minutes to go, like we have here in the Low Country, for Detroit to try to get something out of that when they had such an advantage up a man.
And they've seen the statistics speak to that advantage. They've had the advantage in shots. They've had the advantage in chances created. But that's sometimes when you're struggling to find the back of the net, and you saw it late in that match against Memphis. It was 0-0. Detroit had created a number of chances, but Bruno Lapa late in that match.
Referee brings the play to a halt. It's going to be a free kick for the Battery here. Would love to get one more to kind of put it beyond reach of Miami. We've shown a couple of signs in transition when they can get the ball, and they haven't had much of it. They can still be a threat in this game. Ben Pierman and his group would love nothing more than to put it beyond a reasonable doubt here.
Yeah, and I think if there was an area that you were nitpicking for Charleston Battery that just has not been to that quality and that standard that they've seen, is first contact on a lot of these free kicks.
They had it there. Malloy bent it into the penalty area, but I think the referee said it might have come off an arm. It's going to be a free kick from Miami.
I think the opportunities have come because of the commitment and the numbers and the relentlessness they have around those free kicks and the delivery. But it's tough when you're not influencing the play by making first contact, when the opponent is consistently making that first contact forward or disrupting that play. It's tough to make that something dangerous, as we see Miami FC looking to prepare a substitute.
Yeah, it looked like it was Jordan Ayambila who was getting set to, well, we'll see if he comes on. We were told Miami was going to make the sub, but Frank Lopez said no dice, so he's being prepared. We'll see if Antonio Nocerino brings him on. Malloy. Charleston continues to pin Miami in their own end. Juan Torres. Oh, he tried a reversal to the edge of the penalty area. Ikaza never gave up on it for Charleston, but in the end he was overzealous. It's a free kick.
You said it just a second ago, Charleston pinning Miami in their own half, and it makes it difficult to have the structure to play out. When the distances, the proximity is so close. I mean, who are you going to play to in those progressive areas? Obviously Frank Lopez sitting higher, but he's outnumbered up top there. And yes, he's a good hold-up player. He's going to be able to allow some of those Miami FC players to join, but that's tough when you're absorbing that kind of play, and then you do win it in a positive area, you just don't have that outlet.
Roberto Molina is going to make way here for Miami. Jordan Imbila is going to take his place. It's more of a defensive change here for Miami, or maybe trying to shore some more things up at the back. They have 15 minutes left to try to mount a comeback attempt. As the Battery are going to shake things up here. Robbie Crawford and Jackson Conway both going to come on, and they might not be the only ones. Josh Drack also being prepared as well. Leland Archer has given up the captain's armband here for Charleston. So a fresh batch of Battery players. Chris Allen was one of the players who came off during all of that. So it looks like it was a triple change. Josh Drack, Robbie Crawford, and Jackson Conway all came on. Leland Archer, Chris Allen, and MD Myers all came off in a triple swap. So a reshuffling of the deck here for Charleston to try to see this out down the stretch.
And it looks like Dos Santos has slipped into that left center back role. And Drack has played on that right side, or that left flank. And Smith is that right center back.
You touched on it earlier, the versatility and the experience of someone like Robbie Crawford to come on and help to get this over the line. As Torres is involved again on this near side for Charleston. He's gonna let one fly. It did take a deflection. Knudsen, the critical block. It's out for a corner, and Juan Torres continues his search for a goal tonight.
This play initiated here by Ikaza at midfield. Just ball cleverly played into Torres and then just unloads on that left foot, and you could see Ikaza asking why that ball couldn't be played and slipped in back centrally, and they're still having some words about it.
Corner kick towards the back stick. Gagliardi fouled as he was able to get a brave punch on it and get it out of harm's way.
And that's what you want from your team. Obviously, those healthy conversations about what are each of you seeing, and that's where good teams push the standard and they continue to stretch themselves as players and collectively. But you do want those conversations to be healthy. You want them to be progressive. You want them to be collaborative, because those scenarios are going to present themselves.
Oh, Markanek appreciates the service. It's similar to how he scored his first goal. Gagliardi thwarts him.
Those scenarios are going to present themselves either now again in this matchup or somewhere in the rest of the season, come playoff time.
Again, in the live table, all the results hold where they are right now. Louisville tying against the Switchbacks and Charleston leading here. That's a challenge that comes in. Miami free kick. Gavilanes wins the set piece. Charleston would end this Friday night at the top. Not just the East, but they have the most points in the entire USL Championship as we look at this challenge a second time.
Track there. Falling through, and this is where you're approaching 10 minutes left, and I know that this is going to sound strange because empty the tank, because it's probably, you know, for Miami, they've been absorbing a lot of pressure, and I know they've worked hard to keep this game within striking distance, but got to create one chance.
Marana put a good ball into the penalty area there, but Charleston had it covered. Rare chance for Miami to recycle the play here. And a shot does come in. Oh, good save in the end from Grinwis. I don't think he anticipated that the shot was going to be taken. Mitrano just thought, why not try one? And it's a rare opportunity for Adam Grinwis to have some involvement tonight.
And especially with this slick surface, you just never know. You saw that take a violent bounce off that left foot. So we see this wide service by Marana. Clever little clip, and then Frank Lopez unable to get anything there, and then Toronto just unloading from distance.
Ends up being a no-go for Miami in the attack, but they do sweep away the battery response. In transition, they'll get a goal kick with 9 minutes left of normal time. Again, both goals scored by Nick Markanek. One from open play and one from the penalty spot. He scored in now 4 straight. He has 18 goals and 3 assists to his name this season for Ben Pierman's group. Said at halftime, someone's gonna have their name up in lights at the end of this one, and once again, Nick Markanek has been the star in the middle of this battery attack.
And now what you want to see is a clean sheet. You already lead the league with 10. You want to add an 11th.
Torres tried to find Conway. Miami get it away in the end. Gavilanes assessing his options on the near side, and Miami forced to recycle the possession. Back to Mujib Marana, who's still on a yellow card. A couple of poor challenges there from Robbie Crawford, and rightly so. He's going to be booked. His first challenge wasn't well timed, but the second one is, I think, what leads to the referee having no choice but to go to his pocket.
Yeah, taking 2. Clipping Gavilanes twice there. Not sure he would have gotten away with necessarily the first one. It looked like Elvis Osmanovic was going to let play continue until Gavilanes had released, and seen some positive play there, but Robbie Crawford getting a second clip at him.
Offside flag went up against Miami on that last sequence, so the Battery get possession back as they close in on what would be an 11th victory of the season. But there's still time left. Miami are still up for the fight, but are they going to have enough in the tank to really make this a game? All over the top, Gagliardi. We were surprised to see Daniel Gagliardi put into the starting lineup tonight, but I must say he's been tremendous at times, really.
He has. He's answered the bell when some of those difficult services have been played in, whether it's Torres, Segbers, Dos Santos. He's answered the bell, and I mean, the goal, the first goal from Markanek, the slightest touch, and then the PK.
Torres! Oh, it's off the post! He's been so deserving of a goal this evening, but again, he comes inches short.
He has. I mean, he's just been electric all night, and you see this just slam off that post there on the left side of Gagliardi. And
your attention fans, a substitution for the Charleston Battery coming out of match number 80.
As soon as we talk about it, it's his last touch of the night. Torres, unfortunately for him, will not get his goal, and Diego Gutierrez is going to take his spot. Marco Santana is getting set to come on for Miami, along with Lucas De Paula.
And it's quite a shift that Torres just put in, and he's not going to find his name on the score sheet, but you look back at 85 minutes, there's no question that he influenced the result.
Bayek came out for De Paula during that last sequence. Again, Santana coming on for Miami as well. And I believe that's that. Antonio Nocerino's used all 5 of his changes. 5 minutes left for Miami. Trying to pull off an improbable recovery.
And you got to believe that that is the natural evolution and progression for Torres. Is you add in the chances created, you add in the explosive moments you have on the ball in the final third. Now can you add the efficiency factor? You have X amount of chances. Can you tuck one away?
It's only scored once this season.
Yep. And that be from half field for FC Tulsa. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, I think there's games that you see and the performances you see from Torres, and then you look at the numbers and 1 goal, 2 assists, and you feel like the numbers should match up with how dangerous he is game in and game out.
Malloy looked to have been hurt earlier. This challenge on Markanek is going to lead to a yellow card. Confirmation on who that was presented to, but this is the challenge. Actually, was Marco Santana, who just came on, and he officially has received an early greeting card here from the referee. Allows Crawford and company to get the ball back into play. On that second change that Miami made, by the way, they took off Marana, who was on a yellow, and now one of the guys they bring on, Santana, immediately picks up a yellow card. Again, we're towards the end of the match, but it was one of the purposes for Antonio Nocerino making that double swap.
Well, I touched on those progressive conversations. You saw Icaza and Torres talking about that opportunity that Torres decided from that tough angle, that left-footed shot, where Icaza felt like he was open in that space right in front of goal. It's got to be the same conversations that Miami FC have, those progressive, collaborative conversations, because I know this season has been far from what the results they wanted. And this is going to be another match where they look at case in point. 5 minutes, the opening 5 minutes of this second 45 have come to define how this result stands right now.
And if it holds, to your point about results, in 8 away matches, 7 defeats, 1 draw, and they will have lost 11 of their last 12 games. Remember, April 27th against San Antonio was the last time Miami had won. And other than that, their only other win and their only clean sheet of the entire season was week 1 at home against the Switchbacks, a 2-0 victory, which we touched on at the top of the broadcast.
And that was a stretch early on in the season that I think piqued a lot of interest for Miami FC from...
Ooh, Gagliardi called into action again off the Crawford cross. Miami just about get it out of danger.
From that 2-0.
Ooh, then they give it away. Jackson Conway drags it wide.
Goodness, Charleston doesn't want me to get my point across there. Just keep flooding numbers there in the final third, and a poor giveaway there. And Jackson Conway taking his chance.
He scored 3 goals for the Battery this season, and now some concern over the league's leading goal scorer, Markanek, in some discomfort, although it looks to be all smiles with the guys involved, so maybe it's not as serious as it had initially looked, I should say. Well, tonight's man of the match is presented by Heineken. We had a couple of options. Certainly Juan Torres deserves a look in this one. He was marvelous tonight. However, Nick Markanek is our man of the match tonight, presented by Heineken. Both of the goals for the Battery are his. He's led them on the way to another set of 3 points.
Just clinical in front of goal. I mean, I know this left-footed finish for the penalty to go up 2-0 is quality, but that slightest of touches, I mean, the awareness, the composure, I mean, that just completely encapsulates what an attacking presence is in this game, and a lot of credit to that ball played in by Mark Segbers as well.
Looks like there's going to be 6 added minutes, brought to you by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. It did also look like that Marcanic was taken off there, and Zeke Soto is going to come on and take his place. And there's the confirmation after that of the 6 added minutes.
All right, now to my point about Miami FC. Those first 4 opening matches, you get the 2-0 win.
Yeah.
Colorado Springs, who is towards the top of the West, I mean, in terms of the mix of the playoff picture.
Soto's in behind here, and he's helped off of the ball, shoulder-to-shoulder contact. Miami survives that attack.
Then you lose 1-0 against Sacramento Republic. Then you draw 2-2 with Orange County, and then you lose 2-1 to Charleston Battery. That was a 4-game stretch where you go, this is going to be interesting. And then from there, results just continued to bounce the other direction, and things started to unravel, and it really began with that game against Tampa Bay Rowdies, that 5-2 loss, and you started to see some of those defensive woes rear their head, and it was tough to overcome.
I think we talked about off air at the beginning of the broadcast. Miami was involved in that trade that sent Benefemu and Ben Mines to Indy. It's helped Indy become one of the best teams in the league, and like we said earlier, they're playing in an Open Cup semifinal with a chance to be yet another USL Championship team to get to a final and play for that trophy. For Miami, 2 important pieces potentially in your season. You trade them away, and yes, the youth movement and trying to get some young talent through. We understand Miami's thoughts on that and how they want to continue to have that be a big part of their progression. That's a big reason, surely, why they've conceded now 47 goals this season. 2 guys that would have mitigated that quite a bit, you would think.
Yeah, dude, that's a tremendous point, because you go and look back at it, and I think we were all waiting to see how it played out. And to your point, I mean, Indy 11 has just gone on this absolute tear since that trade. To your point,
this is clipped into the middle. Oh, that was a chance for Frank Lopez. It just was too tall for him. In the end, it floats out of play.
Wouldn't this have been interesting if Miami FC could have pulled one back and made this final 4 minutes a stressful 4 for Charleston.
This would, of course, end a 3-game winning streak that Miami had here at Patriots Point as well, which is pretty remarkable to think about. But again, those were different Miami teams, multiple of whom were either in the playoff hunt or made the playoffs. Of course, 2021, the last time the Battery beat Miami here, that was another good Miami team that was right in the thick of it under Paul Dalglish at the time for the postseason. This season, however, Miami just have been the first team, it seems, to fall off the pace as far as postseason contention is concerned. They're going to give it everything they have the rest of the season. We know that. Antonio Nocerino talked to us about that, and they've shown again tonight they can compete with the top teams. But again, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, and you said it. You've seen it tonight. The fight, the competitiveness, the willingness and the commitment to make these games incredibly difficult. That first 45, I mean, you go into the break 0-0, but that first 5-minute spell, I mean, you just concede those 2 chances and concede the penalty to make this 2-0.
Charleston come forward. They were on for a transitional move initially, but took too much time to get it going. And they have just over a minute to see this out. Again, like you said, especially the way it's been a little up and down for Charleston defensively. They'd love nothing more than to grab a clean sheet tonight.
And Miami's road now. They host Oakland Roots, who have a big matchup tomorrow. And then on the road to Loudoun, on the road to El Paso, host Memphis, and then at Tampa Bay. And that's quite a 5-game stretch as well.
Crawford bends it into the middle, and Gagliardi again continues to shine for Miami. He's all over it. Chance for the visitors to maybe break here, but Battery have a lot of numbers behind it. Isinho cutting in field and doesn't have too much to work with, is forced to play in Santana. Final seconds here in the Low Country. Santana lays that off. It's fed through for Gavilanes! And that epitomizes Miami's goal-scoring form. Got it to the right man. Gavilanes gets it all wrong on the finish.
Final touch gets away, and this is where Miami FC have lacked in the final third. That composure, that ability to force opponents into difficult saves or difficult moments. We saw early on, we thought that there was going to be some of that from Miami FC. We saw the chance by Molina, saw Frank Lopez with a chance, but a poor 5 to 6 minutes for Miami FC to begin this second half. Found them in a 2-0 hole, but they just were unable to sustain anything offensively. And for Ben Pierman and his side, another second half to be proud of in terms of the goal scoring. You go into half 0-0, you come from the break 2-0, you go find 2 goals, but then you add the clean sheet to this performance as well.
Final score is brought to you by Wicked Weed Brewing. It's a 2-0 win for the Battery thanks to Nick Marcanic's brace. We will take a break and wrap this one up next.
Vacation, your beach, your fields of green, skies of blue, mountains of majesty. You're an athlete, you're obsessed, you're in love, you're in pain, spirit drained, in agony, fighting gravity, because you made a commitment to yourself and others to work on your game, build your frame in blazing heat, exhausted and beat, because when you refuse to yield, your spirit is revealed. You are an athlete. MUSC Health Sports Medicine.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, me quedo ultra.
Ok, ahora bueno.
Mr. Messi.
Make it look ultra. Cerveza light superior.
2-0 is the final score in this one. Charleston takes down Miami. Sean St. Jacques, Eric Dobransky, our entire crew here to wrap things up from a jubilant Patriots Point soccer stadium. The home team and their fans leave happy, and we will see how it all went down in the full-time match highlights. And Eric, we begin with the Battery turning the corner in the first half.
Yeah, and it was this man, Torres, that had heavy involvement throughout his 85 minutes on the pitch. Didn't have a goal or an assist to his name, but he influenced this match. That left-footed strike there, forcing Gagliardi into that difficult near-post save. And then right off the bat in the second half, this wide service delivery from Mark Segbers, one touch, the shape, the pace in which it's executed, and then the slight touch from Nick Marcanic, putting his team up 1-0 early, and then the foul by Marana here picks up the yellow and the penalty kick for Charleston Battery, and who else but Nick Marcanic stepping up to tuck away that left-footed finish, and he gets Gagliardi going to his left early, just punishes this ball central, and come to find out that's all that Charleston needed for the 2-0 lead. This is a team that leads the league in clean sheets, and they had 10 coming into the night. They added their 11th, but Torres continued to be dangerous, and I know this is the moment that Emilio Icaza wants this ball pulled back to the central part of the goal, but somebody that's been involved that much, that left-footed strike, and then again, putting it on his right, and then slamming this ball off the post here. Had Gagliardi beaten, but hits the frame and unable to put himself on that stat sheet, but definitely a good shift from Torres.
We go from the Michelob Ultra full-time highlights to the full-time stats as well, and shots on target along with possession will tell you the story, but they still needed that clinical edge, and the game's best, at least USL Championship's best, Nick Marcanic obliged not once but twice.
And Ben Pierman told us this week the complement of how they are on the ball complements how they are off the ball and defensively. 11th clean sheet of the season for Charleston Battery. You see the 62% in possession. Overall, comprehensive performance from Charleston Battery.
Job done for the Battery tonight. We'll see if they stay at the top of the East, pending that Louisville result later. But Ben Pierman's side do their job. They get 3 points and a clean sheet, taking care of Miami in the Low Country and ending that losing streak that they had at the hands of the men from the 305. For Eric Dobransky and our entire crew, I'm Sean St. Jacques. We say so long from the Low Country. Nick Marcanic shines again for the Battery and leads them to a win and 3 points.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.